The first leg of the Monday Night Football doubleheader, the Eagles and the upstart Buccaneers coming in. You look at the record, like, wait, what's going on here? Tampa Bay playing better than expected. The Eagles off to the good start, even though they hadn't played that well. The beneficiary of a number of turnovers. So, locking horns at the pirate ship. What happened in the game? Get to the game. We need the game. Get to the game. So, shiver me timbers, shall we say. Jalen Hurts, he threw for a touchdown. He ran for another touchdown. There were some bumps along the way, but the Eagles get a victory on an end-of-game drive that went over 9 minutes. The end-of-game drive for the Philadelphia offense went more than 9 minutes, and so the Eagles remain unbeaten, 25-11 the final over Tampa Bay. The Birds off to the 3-0 start for consecutive seasons for the first time since the early 90s, over a generation ago. In the early 90s. But the better story is where? That's right, the losing locker room. So that is where we start. Let us discuss the question. What the heck happened? What the heck happened to the career renaissance of one Baker Mayfield? Baker doing so well. He's so good. Baker Mayfield, this, that, and the other. He played pretty well against Minnesota in week 1. Didn't sneak up the joint in week 2. You're like, there's something going on here. So I've got dinner menu, aptitude test, and kryptonite. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make Cuban cigars. Now, I used to work with a guy here at Fox Sports Radio named Tony Bruno, who spent a lot of time in Tampa. In fact, he moved to Florida. He lives there now. But so the greatest Cuban cigars in Tampa. Also, the Cuban sandwich. Also, I've never had the Cuban sandwich, but good there. Anyway, so number one. Yes, what happened to the career renaissance of Baker Mayfield? Well, we can hit the pause button on the remote control. We'll pause the rebirth of Baker Mayfield there. Life does apparently come at you fast in the NFL. Now, we believed, foolishly, that Baker Mayfield had turned some kind of imaginary corner, that he was in a new environment with good receivers, and things were clicking. Things were clicking there after struggling for the last couple of years with the Browns, Rams, Panthers, that Baker Mayfield had found the secret recipe that was hidden in a sofa underneath one of the pillows on the sofa, that he had found what he needed in Florida, and he was starting to cook a little bit for the Bucs over the first 2 weeks. Now, Baker Mayfield, coming into the game Monday night, was the NFL's 5th highest-rated quarterback. He had a higher quarterback rating than Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. Now, you knew that wasn't going to last, but at the same time, you did not expect what you got in the game on Monday night. Because Philadelphia, defensively, they had been dreadful at stopping the pass. How bad had they been the first couple weeks of the year? And the game against Minnesota and the Patriots. And Mac Jones tore up the Eagle defense pretty well in the middle part of that week 1 game. The Vikings got a bunch of big touchdowns, big pass plays against the Eagle defense. The Philadelphia pass defense was ranked 30th in the NFL coming in. So you had small sample size, Baker Mayfield, the 2-week wonder, and then you had the Eagles on the other side that couldn't get it done defensively, and only the Seahawks and Chargers worse than Philadelphia at stopping the pass to begin the year. So what the heck happened on Monday night? Well, we had a regression to the mean in the side of Baker Mayfield. So essentially we got bamboozled and hoodwinked and hornswoggled and all those big words. It was skullduggery is what happened to us. We were the victims of skullduggery because Baker Mayfield served up a classic dinner menu item that he has served up many times in his days in Cleveland and in Carolina and briefly with the Rams. Baker Mayfield served up dead meatloaf. That's what he was. He was dead meatloaf out there on the field. Just terrible. Terrible. 148 passing yards. Average less than 6 yards per attempt. 7 is average. A touchdown, had the interception. Baker was trying to, for most of the game, drink out of a fire hose. And good luck on that against the Eagles defense. And so has the glass slipper now turned back into a crappy shoe for Baker Mayfield. We're not quite there yet, but if you take a look at the big picture here, Tampa Bay in a division with a bunch of also-rans. Like, that is a bad division. I know they've won some games here early in the year, but Tampa Bay, they've got New Orleans, which is a winnable game in Week 4. Then they have their bye. But they still have games against Buffalo and the 49ers down the line. And they have to play some tougher competition as we go forward. So the Baker Mayfield story not going very well right now. Now, page 2 here. How much damage did this loss on Monday night do to the Bucs pirate ship at this point? So now the positive side would say, oh, it's only one game, big deal. You're not going to play perfect every game. You just chalk that up to a bad performance, but everything will be okay. But I disagree. This is an aptitude test. This was an aptitude test. Philadelphia, one of the top teams in the NFC. They hadn't really played that well to begin the year, even though they were 2-0. So it's an aptitude test. You're living the island life, as we like to say. This is an island game. Everyone was watching. It was the first of a doubleheader, and you had the exclusive television window to drink Mai Tais and lay in your hammock and enjoy the spotlight there at the beginning for the first hour or so of the game, and a chance to validate the 2-0 start and say, see, this is legit, that it wasn't just that we were playing the Bears and the Vikings, that we're good, and show that you can compete and maybe not win the game, but hang around one of the upper crust teams in the NFC. So how did that go exactly for the Buccaneers? Well, I'm glad you asked, because a trap door, if you saw the game, you notice a trap door opened up, and below it were sharks that hadn't eaten in like a month, and they were really hungry, and you had a little cut, and there was blood. And these great white sharks were like, man, I'm really hungry. That's some good meat, good eating. And I want some of that. Because Tampa, they failed in all possible categories in this game, across the board. They get Fs across the board, like the Chicago Bears, the triangle of doom. The triangle of doom. Defense allowed 472 yards of offense. 27 first downs. That's the Tampa defense to the Philadelphia offense. The Birds kept converting third downs. They did whatever they wanted. They held possession of the ball. That last possession was over 9 minutes. They had the ball for over 38 minutes of a 60-minute game. So double your pleasure, double your fun. Now, the final point here, did Jalen Hurts completely crush the narrative that has been going around that he cannot read defenses? He struggles to read defenses. This is a story we talked about in a previous episode of the show. There were some comments made by Ron Jaworski, former Eagles legend back in the day, a commentator somewhere. Ron Jaworski, and also a couple years ago, caught on a open mic Todd Bowles, now the head coach in Tampa. He was the defensive coordinator back during a Tampa Bay-Philadelphia playoff game. So to answer the question, did Jalen Hurts completely blow to smithereens the struggles to read defenses, that argument? I'm going to push back on that. Now, he certainly did nothing negative. I mean, there were a couple of throws that were not the greatest throws in the world. Tampa, in this game, was warm fertilizer. That was their defensive performance. And so we saw, even in this game, there was a little bit of kryptonite that came in there. A couple of mistakes, miscommunication. That's on the quarterback, miscommunication. And now he's up to 4 turnovers, Jalen Hurts, and that was the secret sauce last year for Jalen Hurts. He did not turn the ball over very much. Now, it hasn't come back to bite the Eagles in the nest, but you keep turning the ball over like that, it's going to come back. And when you play a better team, like, say, the 49ers, down the line in the playoffs, and you're turning the ball over, that becomes more costly unless the quarterback of the 49ers goes snap, crackle, pop. But the Eagles,
good sauce.
Every time I watch the Eagles in these primetime games, and the Viking game, this game, and even the first game against the Patriots, which was not a primetime game, I'm like, if they get to a 3rd and 1 or a 4th down and 1, they're going to get the first down every time with that tushy-pushy. It's the most dominating play, and they run it better than everyone else, the tush-push. You got to keep them on 3rd down and 4 or 5. You get them down to 3rd down and 1 or 2 yards, they're going to get the first down, especially the 1-yard situations. It's ridiculous. All right, we have some post-game flavor for you. Here's Baker Mayfield, the aforementioned Baker Mayfield, career renaissance on hold. Here is Baker talking in a big picture, not individual, big picture perspective. Here's Baker.
We just weren't good as a whole skill group-wise. We weren't good enough to get the ball out quickly for our guys up front. We knew they were going to bring some pressure, and I know everybody's probably going to take a little bit of blame on this one. So we just have to be better as a unit. There's no doubt about that.
Notice he did not single himself out, although he was at the very top. If you were to look at the totem pole of suck, he would be at the top of the totem pole of suck, but he didn't want to name himself. So he said, we lose as a team. We win as individuals. We lose as a team. Here's more. How about Todd Bowles, usually a straight shooter. Here is Todd Bowles. What did he have to take away from the Buccaneers' performance against the Eagles? Let's go to the audio tape.
We played hard, and we made some
congratulations.
mistakes. The mistakes we didn't make the first 2 games, we made this game, and a lot of it has to do with them. Give them credit. I mean, Nick does a great job. Those guys did a great job preparing. They came in here, and then they beat us pretty good, and we own that.
So play the beginning. Todd Bowles, this is his analysis of the Buccaneers, a professional football team. Play the first part.
We played hard.
We played hard. That's it. We played hard. Play it again.
We played hard.
We played hard. All right. Does that even need to be spoken? If you say you played hard, that would mean there are games you don't play hard. But you don't talk about those games you don't play hard. Like I would say the Denver Broncos didn't play hard against the Miami Dolphins. But did Sean Payton come out and say we didn't play hard? I don't think he said that. I don't think so. Here's more from Todd Bowles, and he also laments the fact that the Buccaneers were playing a bunch of guys that were not very good.
We're thin right now. We're playing backups right now, but those guys understand the game plan. We got to do a better job of executing certain things, but it's their some guys' first time playing, so we got to get used to that. But they got to make plays. We got young guys. Nobody's going to feel sorry for us, and we're not going to feel sorry for anybody.
Yeah, I don't feel sorry for you. 12 first downs, 174 total yards of offense in a 3-hour game. It's hard to get a lot of yards of offense when you don't have the ball. But what do I know? I just do the overnight show around here.